All right, everyone. This is one of the most underrated metrics for determining where we are at in the Bitcoin bull run. This metric and chart is called the Bitcoin HODL Waves. And what it tells you is for any given point in time, the distribution of long-term holders versus short-term holders. For those of you that have followed me for a while, this video will be a good refresher, and I'll also provide a current update at the end of the video. For now, all you need to know is that the short-term holders are the bright colors. So this is the pinks, the oranges, and even some of the brownish orange that you see. Now, look at what happens to the bright colors every single time we are near the bull run peak. In 2011, we have the bull run peak here. And then when we do peak, we have a huge spike up in the bright colors. In 2013, we actually have two peaks. The first one is a local peak. We have a huge spike up in short-term holders. We crash down, and then we have a second peak, which is the actual peak. Another huge spike up in short-term holders before the bear market. In 2017, here is the peak, and naturally we have another huge spike up in the bright colors, which is the short-term holders. In 2021, we see the exact same thing here at the peak. Now, let's talk about why this is so effective. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to supply and demand. Let's look at any bear market. Let's take a look at this one in 2015 to 2016. Who holds most of the supply here? The answer is the long-term holders, right? Because during this time frame, we have a bunch of dark colors and very minimal bright colors. Now, look at what happens as we progress throughout the bull market. The dominance of the dark colors compared to the bright colors starts to shift until we hit the bull market peak in 2017, where it is marked by close to 90 to 95% short-term holders. So what does this mean? It means that the long-term holders, also known as the smart money, they are slowly selling to the short-term holders until the short-term holders hold the majority of the supply. At this point, there are almost no more short-term holders to sell to, which causes an abundance in supply. And when there's greater supply than there is demand, naturally the price will fall. And that's how we see the following bear market. As the bear market progresses, you see the distribution of supply change from more short-term holders to long-term holders until the long-term holders dominate. Then, as the next bull market progresses, you start to see that the long-term holders start repeating the process, selling to the short-term holders until they reach a pretty high percentage, in this case, probably around 85%, before the bear market starts again. So now let's address the question, where are we currently at in this current bull market? We've actually seen two somewhat significant spikes in short-term holders. The first one was when we first broke 69K, when we surpassed the previous all-time high. A lot of people that round-tripped their bags, they took their profits. And then the second time was when we hit six figures, over 100K for the first time in Bitcoin. A lot of people took their profits around then as well. Now, these spikes are nowhere near the magnitude of the previous bull run peaks that we've seen in the past. This means that we haven't seen the huge supply and demand imbalance that we've seen from previous cycles, at least not yet. I would be more concerned once short-term holders get to roughly the 80% mark, but right now we're still probably at a distribution of 50-50 between short-term holders and long-term holders. Now, could I be wrong and tomorrow all of the long-term holders dump their supply and start the next bear market? I could, but I think the probability of the bull market continuing is greater than the bear market starting. This goes without saying, but this is not financial advice. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that this bull run still has legs? Comment down below and let me know. I will respond to everyone. Talk to y'all again soon.